It strikes me this is going pretty fast. I don't remember stuff happening this quickly, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
This is what I have an issue with. They keep saying that these people are Trump loyalists. What does that mean? It's like pejorative. They didn't say that about Eric Holder. He was an Obama loyalist. They didn't say Blinken was a Biden loyalist. These are just conservative, America First guys that Trump can trust that aren't going to hatch a special counsel on him. Dana said this is the fastest she's ever seen. The judge said it's the fastest. I don't remember what Jessica said, but I'm kidding. Of course I don't.
This is a Fox News alert. President-elect Donald Trump announcing that former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe will serve as his CIA director. Trump saying about Ratcliffe, quote, from exposing fake Russian collusion to be a Clinton campaign operation to catching the FBI's abuse of civil liberties at the FISA court, John Ratcliffe has always been a warrior for truth and honesty with the American public. So there.
Let's talk with important allied foreign officials today, but we begin with the senior national correspondent Aisha Hosty in West Palm Beach with the latest on who's in and who's not. Aisha, good evening.
Trace, good evening to you. It's been a very busy day over in Mar-a-Lago as the transition team continues to put out new names. The president-elect has now tapped former cabinet secretary Bill McGinley as his next White House counsel. This role is important when it comes to vetting and choosing those Supreme Court nominations and candidates if there ever were to be a vacancy on the highest court. Former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe has been tapped to be the next CIA director, and real estate investor Stephen Witkoff will be the special envoy to the Middle East as the president-elect really prioritizes foreign policy and national security in these early picks. President-elect Trump announcing today he's nominating former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee to be ambassador to Israel. Trump writing, Mike will work tirelessly to bring about peace in the Middle East. Trump has not officially made his pick for Secretary of State, but a source familiar tells Fox News it is expected to be Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Rubio is vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee and may have the easiest confirmation through the Senate, as he's well-liked and respected by Republicans and Democrats.
I think he's a very good nominee. He's someone you can sit down and talk to and he's well informed on foreign affairs.
With Congressman Mike Waltz as his national security advisor, Trump would have 3 staunch Israel supporters in place. Sources tell Fox News Trump is also expected to tap South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to lead the Department of Homeland Security. But the jury is still out on an attorney general as Trump vows to revamp the Department of Justice. Some names being floated include Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and former acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker.
Nobody knows the weaponization of the Department of Justice and the legal system more than Donald Trump. His attorney general is going to have to stand in the gap. They're going to have to know how on day one to move out on the president's agenda.
Trump still hasn't announced his new defense or treasury secretaries, although billionaire hedge fund manager John Paulson has taken his name out of consideration. And Trace, also tonight, Fox is confirming that New York Congressman Brandon Williams, who just lost his re-election bid, is now being considered for labor secretary. If he is indeed tapped, it would not affect the House's, the Republicans' slim majority in the House. Trace.
Aisha Hosny live for us in West Palm Beach. Aisha, thank you.
Trump just announcing that our own Pete Hegseth will be his Secretary of Defense. Pete, of course, has been a host here at Fox for a number of years. He's an Army veteran where he served in Afghanistan, in Iraq. Trump saying, quote, Pete has spent his entire life as a warrior for the troops and for the country. He's tough, smart, and a true believer in America first. With Pete at the helm, America's enemies are on notice. Our military will be great again, and America will never back down. Wow, that is pretty cool. Gosh, we're gonna miss him at Fox, but that's a gain for the country. All right, this is another Fox News alert. President Trump has just announced Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will lead the Department of Government Efficiency. That's D-O-G-E. Doge? Now, Trump released a statement saying it will become potentially the Manhattan Project of our time. The Department of Government Efficiency will provide advice and guidance from outside of the government and will partner with the White House and Office of Management and Budget to drive large-scale structural reform and create an entrepreneurial approach to government never seen before. We just heard word that, yes, the president has just announced that Kristi Noem, the governor, of course, Governor Kristi Noem, will be his DHS secretary pick. Jason, how great is that? How great is that news? Some people wanted her at Interior. They thought that was a better choice. But nevertheless, she'll be heading DHS, it looks like.
Yeah, she's got her hands full. There's something like 265,000 people at Homeland Security. You got about 65,000 that are at the Transportation Security Administration. You have the Secret Service. You got FEMA. You got FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. You got the Coast Guard. You got the Secret Service.
So far, so good.
Yeah, you know, it reminds me of the camera that we had at Trump Tower, watching people coming and going literally every day. And so a huge difference, and we talked earlier about the fact that President Trump hadn't even spent much time in D.C. He was a real New Yorker, obviously a man of the world, but hadn't spent a lot of time in D.C. So, you know, was building his team up here in New York out of his offices at Trump Tower. But, you know, at this point, there are big decisions to be made. Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, and Attorney General, probably the three biggest. Your thoughts on Rubio as this potential nominee, and then any thoughts on AG or Defense?
Well, Rubio would be, if he is selected, an excellent choice. He's widely respected. He's a thoughtful member. He's been on the Foreign Relations Committee. He's been on the Intel Committee. He's vice chairman of Intel. And look, you want think about it, the national security team of the NSC director, the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State. So far, if these two, Mike Waltz and Marco Rubio, are correct, that's a very strong start. And again, I emphasize a quick start. The president has been talking to people for weeks and months about, if I were to be elected, who should I pick for X or Y or Z? He's been casting a broad net. Now, that may have just been conversation with people who are his supporters and advisors, but he's clearly moving rapidly to execute that. And as Mr. Colby said, it sends a message. The fact that he prioritized national security, that he's got somebody like a Walz and like a Rubio, is going to send a message to our allies and, more importantly, to our adversaries that the president's surrounding himself with first-rate people.